This is Otsukimi, and this is Casual Crypto and Coffee. This is a Thursday edition. Usually, this is on Wednesdays around intraday. We are currently on Thursday, right around the U.S. Open. I'd say we got about. No, I think they just opened actually. So right around the U.S. Open, we're gonna look at a few things. We're gonna do a little quick review on Bitcoin, really fast. This is mainly for altcoins. And also I tend to share, as I've expressed this before, this is Casual Crypto and Coffee, or sometimes I do review coffee. I just got in a new batch of Onyx coffee. It's placed somewhere in the Midwest in the United States. Very good coffee. Got nice fruity notes with that, but it's good. It's tasty. But I'll do a review later. And so we'll focus on this. Had a lot of FUD today. A lot of drama going on too, and I really want to address that, but I need to really wait for a different video because this was today's FUD was Tether. I guess there was kind of a Tether about going on somewhere around the middle of the night here. So it just seems to be overblown. So I think it kind of lends itself to like what I've been saying really for the past 5-6 months, but especially for the past month or two, and even really just the past 30 days, is we focus on too much stuff. I saw somebody today say, well, can't we just get one day without FUD? And the answer is no, you can't. And the reason why you can't is because the average trader makes their own FUD and drama. And so honestly, the Tether thing wasn't a big deal. A lot of these other things weren't a big deal. The SEC stuff was probably the biggest stuff of that. But then people start looking into things. Well, why is Binance moving this from chain to chain? Why is this doing this? Why is this doing that? Why is the housing market doing this? And that's my big thing about macro. Why do I see all these little things moving? It must mean something's happening. Like, no, probably not. You have analysis paralysis. You have too many things going on, and it's affecting your psyche, and it's causing you to be fearful, and that's exactly what the market wants you to do. It's much better to always keep safe, right? But focus on the charts, focus on what it's telling you, and only trade when it's telling you to trade in a certain direction. Didn't seem like big of an issue to me. I'm not a on-chain expert when it comes to those things, so I don't really have much to say as far as the on-chain activity. But it seems to have been not an issue, but we can kind of go over that for now. I kind of marked this out, and so here is a drop, and looks like it was actually yesterday. So we're pretty much right out the same place. So I marked this out. This is the fib. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a tweet that I did a day or two ago, I think 2 days ago, where I talked about if this structure is very complex, right? You can identify it by taking the Fibonacci tool and just going from top to bottom. Doesn't matter which way, because you're really just looking at the mid, and that's your midpoint. And so right now you can see it rejected at the mid, but we're still kind of consolidating up there. So I need that red line. So that's kind of what I'm backing this up for. So that's what that looks like. See if I can address this on a different time frame. Maybe I can get rid of this. I'll just get rid of it for now. So anyway, that's what we see. We have a divergence as well. So that's another good sign that I think this market could turn around. And so I would wait for this to break. If this does break bearish, then I see ourselves maybe getting some more downtrend momentum. But as of right now, I still think shorts are not a good opportunity. I've seen some people try to short, and it's funny because I looked at some people and 2 days ago they were long and now they want to short, and I don't know, whatever. I won't get into it, but this is what I see right now. And so far, I would wait until this breaks. If we look at the daily, okay, so there's my bar. I would want this green area to break and hold below before I consider shorting. And so that would look like this. Let's say it breaks down right here. I would put my stop loss somewhere on the other side of the bar. That's pretty traditional for me. And you could target right, probably like right here for 4.7. And now I think the only unfortunate thing about that is that that might not play out for a very fast time. And that's kind of the detriment of lower time frames too, or like quick trades. Like you can't really get good R&R on quick trades right now. And so that's part of it. I tend to be more of a long-term, high time frame trader. I think there's really good R&R with that. And I've seen it where, let's just say, what was it? We play the RSI 50 break, which is something I do. I was talking to someone about yesterday. So say I went somewhere around here, and I played my stop loss. I don't know, maybe at this low, and then, generally speaking, I have a line here to tell me when it's oversold or divergence, whatever. So the divergence was right here, right? So that's a 10. Let's just say 10R. We'll lower it down a little bit. So you got 10R. So that's already good, right? But the point is like I up my risk on that as well. So 10R is available if you only had 1% risk. But if you have 2% risk, it's now 20. And so that's where I kind of come into play. So I would have made 20, on this example anyway, would have made 20% of my entire portfolio. So if I had $100,000, I would have made $20,000 on, what was it? 16 days. Now, the problem is that 99% of people don't even want to wait 16 days. And that's the problem. I don't think 16 days is a long time, especially when I can add that as a spot position. That's pretty tight of a spot for a spot position. So you still could have did leverage and you still would have been okay. And that would have been, roughly 28x or something like that. So it's plausible, right? It's doable. You can add spot to it, things like that. So that's the thing. People just don't have the patience to do it. I would rather do that one time than to look at the 30-minute chart and trade this baloney, okay? And make 20 trades in this time span, and only 3 of them were successful. And guess what? Guess which times were probably going to be successful? This one, this one, this one, and maybe this one. So 4. When it's more volatile anyway. So that's kind of why I do what I said. So a little bit of a detour, but that's kind of the issue here on the hourly. Got the divergence, got all that going on. As far as daily, it's still holding. We need this to hold. If you're a bull, absolutely need this to hold. And 1% right now is okay. So we'll see how that goes. But this is the kind of the morning. So that's kind of my brief introduction for Bitcoin. We'll go into, I'll do Ethereum, I'll do Binance Chain again. Then I'm going to look into some alts because there's a couple alts that surprised me. But we'll take a small coffee break and then I'll go into that. All right, so let's go to Ethereum, kind of the king of the alts, so to speak. So not sure what that was there for. So on the daily we had this breakdown. It looks like we had some sort of support structure here that failed, went below, consolidated, broke down. So pretty easy of a breakdown, didn't take much. Shows weakness. So when something breaks down very easily like that, it's also a sign of weakness, like I said. So that's part of it. So we can kind of extend this out. I think we can make kind of a bigger block here. I don't really like that though, because it kind of matches too much stuff. So I think we can, I think we're okay with doing this for the most part, because it covers other things. So, but it still broke below. So that's still concerning. I would not be longing Ethereum. I think Ethereum looks pretty weak right here. This is a pretty sizable deviation because it deviated here, but then it also put in 2 more lower highs. And now we officially put in a new low for this entire pretty much 3-month area. And so This is why a lot of people get frustrated, because we've had 2.5 months of just basically sideways, and so that ends up generating more FUD by result, right? When there's nothing happening, people get concerned, people get worried, things like that, and they really shouldn't. I mean, price is designed to go down just as much as it's designed to go up, so we should expect those. So anyway, this is what I see. It's broken down, so this is kind of, this whole long idea is invalidated. I wasn't interested in longing Ethereum anyway. I was kind of in the middle with it, but I would definitely wait until you get above the green. If you wanted to short this here, I would wait until this closing candle, and let's say it closes right now. A little bit risky of a short, in my opinion. Well, it's a 6 to 7% stop, so that's okay. I would probably at least target somewhere above this close. So I think that's probably about right. And even if you target the low here, you're at 2.5. There's about 2. So you're not really getting the R&R that I would suggest, but that's probably your biggest high time frame trade. If you kind of want to go on the 4-hour, and I won't cover the weekly because we covered that in my observations video. Right now it's kind of tricky. This is not necessarily divergent, but it's not something I want to see on a short. But you can kind of, if we up this to like 6-hour, you can kind of see where we're going with this. And ideally, I would prefer to look for a pump first, and then target maybe this high right here, and then target down here where this breaker is. And so that gives you about 2.9. So you get a better R return, you get more confidence. When it comes to trades like this, I typically wait for a reaction and then capitalize on that reaction. So for example, this recent move, I would not have longed or short this, but I would have shorted it once it broke past this low. Now this is tricky because one, you only got a 1.5, but also this all went down in one move. So that's very hard to do, right? So, and that's why this price action has been very tricky in general. You can't really capitalize on a lot of these moves. But overall, Ethereum looks a little done for me. I don't like it as a long whatsoever. Another thing that I see are trend lines. So we can kind of go like so. That's broken, right? So we can kind of just estimate this. If we go to wick, now we have a touch of quote-unquote support. So that's something to keep in mind. This whole thing was a big wedge, deviated, now it's kind of back below here. And so this is another reason why I don't think I was short either. The R&R is just not very good right now. So your best bet, if you can't long or you can't short, you need to put yourself in positions where a long or short would make better sense. So you had this block here. I would either, where did I have this? There we go. I would either wait to long. I'm obviously more always in favor of longs. I would wait to long until you get back above it. So when you get something like this and it reclaims are very high conviction trades for me because they shouldn't go back below. They should not. So you got to identify when a reclaim happens though. And so if you have something like this, you can target the highs. You have 3.1. Like I said in the Bitcoin section, you can double the risk, so that becomes 6. And so that's much more advantageous, right? And then you got a wider stop. You have a higher probability of success. You could even double it by 3 if you want to and get 9R out of that. So and that's possible. And so, also with the long, you have more confidence that it can go higher versus shorts, which have limited profitability because you can only go down as far as 100. And if you go to 100, then Ethereum is dead and everything's dead. So Ethereum's not going to go zero, at least not right now. So that's what I see with that. A little tricky with that one. Not too happy about it, but it's part of it. So I'm going to go into I'm going to cover more sections, but I'm going to cover about 2 or 3 at once. So I think I'm going to cover Bitcoin, Solana, and Dogecoin together. And then I'll hit, Matic and maybe a few other ones that I see. So, all right, so I'm just going to go straight down the list, go to Sol, just hit the daily, 4 hour mainly. So, on the daily, have a pretty good bleed so far the past week. So far today, bullish candle, but obviously we have lots of time left. One thing we want to do is measure out the levels. So you got this right here. We've also have another level right here. I'm a big fan of touching the liquidity zones here, and we're kind of right in that little mix. So that's concerning. We do have this big jump up, so that's also good. It's a little complex. So typically when you have a big wick like this, and then you still have some more downside, the price isn't really stabilized yet. But in my experience, that doesn't mean that you're going to get a lot of volatility on either side. So how does that work? Because in one sense, I just said it wasn't stable, but if there's no volatility, then it is stable. Well, the reason why it's not stable is because it's a little unpredictable. Like, even though it might not jump around within this area, we don't really understand the direction that it's going to go. So this is one of these times where you really don't, I mean, it's nothing, this isn't really something you want to say as a trader, but it's something that you have to admit as a trader. Like, sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you just don't know what price direction is going to go. And that's okay. You need to understand that, and you need to be humble about that, to realize that you can't trade everything. You're not meant to trade everything. You really shouldn't. It really, I was thinking that yesterday, because I got accused of that yesterday, and it would be like eating like every 5 minutes. Like, why would you want to? You can eat every 5 minutes from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. And some people might eat every hour, for their diet or whatever. And I've done that. I've done that. I've done fasting. I've done all kinds of things. But if you increase that to like once every 5 minutes, it kind of gets redundant. Because what if I'm eating a big dinner, but instead of eating it like once in one sitting in a meal, I spread it over 3 hours, taking one bite every 5 minutes. It's kind of doesn't really make sense in a certain context. And that's kind of, that's not the best example, but that's kind of what trading is. I mean, there's times that are just, the trading's not worth it. So flip the script, okay? Instead of focusing on how can I trade this, focus on yourself and say, what is the most optimal conditions for me to trade profitably? Okay, profitably, not just to trade. Like, your focus should not be to trade. Your focus should be making money. And so in order to make that focus more clear, you need to find the opportunities to make money versus the opportunities to trade. So that's kind of how that goes. And once you start focusing on those opportunities, you can capitalize on those opportunities. Versus trading, you can trade anytime, right? But I'd guarantee about 80% of that time it's probably just going to be a gamble, and that gamble is rarely worth the chance. So that's kind of what I see. So on the 4 hour, I kind of have this little scythe formation. This isn't quite the it is divergent, but that's not like a divergence. Actually, so it kind of is here though. So that's a little more clear on the 12 hour. I kind of like that actually. And so usually what you see with these, you kind of have a little bit of like this. And so it's a little frustrating in my opinion. Because like I said, you want a move to be made on this, and you're probably not going to get the move that you want or in the span of time that you want. And so I would probably box this out. I'd probably just ignore that large wick and just wait for a reaction there. And so in my opinion, this isn't really that healthy, but let me see if I got a buy signal here. I don't. So I would probably just hold off for that and not really long or short that as well. I would probably, unfortunately, wait until we got above like 17 to long. I mean, this is okay, but you know, and so this price action here, like this box, has some similarities to what we're seeing here. We had the larger wick, we had the down move here, and so this could go down. And even though we had a divergence here, we had 3 chances down divergence, it did break bullish, but then it went back down. So didn't really kind of work as intended, but that was, you know, part of it. So we're kind of seeing that now, and so now you can see why I don't think this is a good idea to trade right now for this asset, because it looked bullish. It did kind of go bullish, kind of faked us out a little bit, then it bled further, and then it eventually broke bullish anyway. So that's kind of what you're going to see. Like the divergence on 12 hour, it could go up here. So, you know, I don't like the brush tool actually, so it might go something like here, which is nice, but then it might go something like this, and so you gotta wait till July for anything meaningful. And then you're like, well, it went down, I knew it was gonna go up, but it went down, I'm so wrong. And then it goes like this, and so your original idea was right, but your execution was wrong. And so that's kind of what you have to work with that, and it's frustrating, but you just gotta keep watch for that. And so there's ways to counteract that, right? For something like this, you could have just waited for the reclaim. I think this here, because this was established already. If you waited right here, I think you would have had a good return. So if you longed at this top candle, and you know, focused maybe like on the other side of here, and if you calculate the divergence, you would have 4.5. So it's pretty good for you know, 5-7 days. So that's good. But overall, I would wait this one out. Let's go to Binance. Very tricky because this is an SEC targeted coin. There's a lot of action involved, but I'm not really focused on the news for now. So one thing, sorry. So one thing that I see here is I had this trend line marked out from Monday's video. When I said that this would break out, I thought it would go up. It did. And so we have it retesting. It failed the top of this. It's still holding the bottom. So it hasn't quite broken below yet. So this remains to be seen. We can actually just get rid of all this now and retarget this like so. Make a big block. And you just play the range of that. And so if you've watched my videos for a while now, you know that I make levels, and once I make those levels, I play the breaks of those levels. And that's honestly probably the easiest way to trade, because you're waiting. The idea is that once you get a high and low established, you have a contest for supply and demand. And so once the price gets outside, let's say it goes up here, that supply and demand contest has been won. In this case, it was won by the demand side. And so this is just an example, but if you would long this right here, very rarely is it going to go on is the price going to go back to the other side. And so that's where you learn to do entries and stops. And if you've been watching my tactical trading videos, if you haven't, I've got the first one's about entries, the second one's about stop losses. I'm going to make another one today, number 3, and it's going to be about understanding bullish and bearish price action. And so stay tuned. It's a good series. But one of the things I teach is proper entries. And so this is a proper entry. This is a proper stop loss, even though it's probably not the best return. And you'll say you target the highs. So 1.5 is still not the biggest return, and it could take a while to get to 316. So again, this is just an example, right? But the idea is that this is a highly convicted trade because the entry is very good. It's very solid. And the stop loss, although the stop loss is too wide for me personally, it's still a decent stop loss because it's under a clear set of invalidations. Like, it's probably not going to go up. Like, you want to put your stop loss in the most optimal place where price should not go. So you could do it right here. Another thing that you can do is take that fib tool that I talked about, go like this, and you could target the mid instead and target right below the mid. So in my experience, this tends to happen very rarely. Does it the price come back to the other side? I'd say it happens maybe 1% of the time, where here it probably goes back to the mid about 20% of the time. So a much higher risk, but still reasonably safe, right? So if you do this trade 5 times, it's probably only going to happen once. And the thing is if the price comes back below, you can stop yourself out and then continue from there. So that's kind of the MO with that. The R&R is much better with this as well. So something to keep in mind. So that's Binance for now. I don't particularly like this. I would like to wait for the reclaim of at least the mid. And so that's another thing. If you reclaim the mid, you can long, you can target below here, and then you can target up here instead. You get basically close to that 3, about 2.8, and you're still qualifying for that bearish retest right here, because this still could be touched, and then we go to new lows. So that's a possibility as well. So overall, I'm still pretty on the fence about Binance as well. It's just a weird time, but I like Bitcoin's current reaction though, and that's kind of what I was looking for. So we'll do one more because I'm running a little long on this. Is Dogecoin. This one was the one that surprised me because I thought this was going to die faster than the rest of them, and it's actually been holding up pretty strong. So on the daily, still having some trouble here, but it's holding this zone I had from Monday. But on the 4 hour, I see this kind of tricky zone. We can quantify this as an order block, and so I'd probably just condense it like that. But again, same rules apply. Play the break. I like this, but this is also a retest, so I would probably wait. So you could probably do like so. That's pretty good. Another thing you could do is short this. Again, short the outside, short or long the outsides. When it comes to this kind of price action, you don't want to be offsides. The last thing you want to do is get greedy or fearful or anything like that. Don't show emotions. Like, this is not the time. It's never the time to have emotions for trading. And that's exactly why people need to have brokers and things like that, because if they would try to trade for themselves, they would lose so much money. And that's one reason why a lot of self traders lose a lot of money, because they're actually exit liquidity for the brokers that have more sense and less emotions. And unfortunately, they're not trading their own money. It's easier to trade somebody else's money. It is. So because you don't have the emotional attachment, it's not yours. You're getting paid anyway, commissions, whatever. So, but this looks good. Again, I don't like the short R&R, especially when we're so close to the lows here. So I like the range of the play of this break. In fact, I might even just set an alert to buy. So we'll see about that. I think I'll briefly cover Link, because it's been showing up on my feed a lot as something somebody's willing to buy. And I don't know if I buy it just yet, but this touch of the trend line is very interesting. I like that. I don't know if I would be wanting to buy. See, when you get kind of this sideways thing, it doesn't tend to work out so well. So I don't really like that. Actually, can't really even do that, but this looks like it could be breakable in my opinion, especially since it failed the RSI 50 and that big down move with no follow through just yet. I think a move up to the $5 or the $6 range would be better. So I don't know. I'm not interested in Link. It seems to be probably not the best coin to pick from right now. So, and this is like, so you can see has been going down for quite some time. So anyway, that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope I can share more coins next time. If you have any chart requests, you can feel free to message me on YouTube or Twitter about it. But let me know. So anyway, I hope you have a good day. Hope you have a safe day, and I'll see you in the next video.